friends. Welcome back to Living Your Human Design podcast. I'm Brandy, your host, and boy, are we in for a treat today. I have been bouncing off the walls for the past 24 hours getting ready for this interview. And you want to know an inside secret? This is the first time this guest and I have actually spoken. I have had the pleasure of sitting in on calls with her, and I've taken her course and I already feel like I know her so well. But it's truly an honor to be able to have this space time with you and to be one-on-one in podcast land and to be able to share you with my audience all at the same time. So without further ado, I'm so excited to introduce Iva G to the podcast. Hello, my
Hello,
dear.
hello. Hello, hello.
You
Thank
are
you for having
making,
me.
oh my gosh, you are so welcome. You are making the little girl inside me, her dreams come true right now. You think I'm kidding, but since I've started this human design journey, like so many of my teachers, like literally you are my teacher now, you're like superstars. You're like little, like mini superheroes. And just your approach to this, how you found it, how you're using it in your day-to-day life, how you're using it to serve the greater whole, and just everything. It's just I'm so in awe of how all of you have taken this thing, this system, this tool, and you're making it your own, right?
Yeah,
And just sharing it. And I will say it again. I've said it 100 times already. My guests know this, but I believe that human design is one of the things that will save this planet. Hands down. I think it should be taught in schools. I think it should be necessary. Just for that awareness. It
indeed.
truly is life changing.
Yeah.
So
The awareness and the practicality, right? And the practicality of it.
exactly. Exactly. So I am so happy you're here. I want to jump in. I want to just let's because we have a lot to cover. I know it. I
Mm-hmm.
feel it already in my bones.
Mm-hmm.
So, just to start, tell us a little bit or a lot about yourself. I would love to know, how you got into human design, first of all, because I know your background a little bit, and it's
Mm-hmm.
pretty, it's a big stretch from what you were doing to now this.
Yes,
So I
yes.
definitely want to hear that story. And what's your magic?
I will. I'll let
All of
you
it.
know. I'll let you know.
Grab
So,
my notebook, take some notes.
indeed, please do. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of beautiful conversations here. I wish we had like hours and hours. And yeah, I used to be an architect. Now I am a business coach that absolutely uses human design as one of my main tools. And my passion really is helping, thought leaders and helping visionary women, entrepreneurs to really communicate their value and to really also amplify their magnetism and amplify their message. And like you said, like this is something, this tool or anything that we believe in, right, can help the world. It really needs to get out there. We need to like really help the world and help people actually live better lives and be more in alignment and be just happier and be thriving, right? So that we can all rise up, right? And raise the frequency of the planet. And like the more we feel good and the more we love our lives and ourselves, the more we overflow, right? Only angry and frustrated people, create more trouble in the world, right? So if we were all
So,
experiencing love and overflow, we would not do so many bad things, right? So,
absolutely.
anyways, yeah, I left architecture some 8 years ago now, I think. And like, had I known my human design and also astrology and things like that, I would have known, like, that was not really the right journey for me. But I love the education that I've had and like the experiences that I've had working as an architect, and it really like shaped my brain. And so I have this beautiful blend and balance of the masculine and the feminine, the structure, right, and also like the science and the art, right? And anyways, I left that for marketing because I felt like a huge pull always towards like powerful and empowering communication. I saw people like right now, for example, Elon Musk, who's trying to warn everyone about the dangers of artificial intelligence. But the
Yes.
guy is so freaking bad at communicating that I'm like, of course, no one wanted to listen to you, dude. Like, you are like, I'm snoozing already, right? And I see
It's
a lot of
true.
people, right? And I see a lot
Yes.
of people like, and that's what I've experienced in my life. I was always inspired by a lot of people and their wisdom and their knowledge. And I could look beyond their lack of, communication skills, but I knew like, oh my God, if you just knew how to communicate more powerfully, like, oh my God, what you could do with this, right? I want everyone to benefit from this, but you are so bad at communication. So how can I help you? And I had a talent for it. So I have a defined throat, my 4323 channel of explanation, and also like my 2644 that is really good at like basically selling kind of, let's call it persuasion. When you believe in something, you can sell it with a lot of passion, right? Because you're attuned to the other and things like that. So, anyways, some 3 years ago now, I found human design by accident through someone online. And I just kind of was like very curious. I always loved these, tools for self discovery. And I dove in and like it just started clicking, right?
Yes.
Just like all of us. So like it just felt extremely validating and illuminating. And I was like, what else can this tool illuminate for me, right? The system actually. And then how I got onto this journey was basically reading every book and every post that I can find and every video that I can find, like everything, so I basically like with my Mercury and Gemini and that gate 16 of skills, like I really pick things up super fast. And I really picked up human design fast, just like like you started
Yes.
out recently on the journey and you're like, I've never picked anything up so fast. Like, hell yeah. It was just clicking because it just made everything kind of fit together beautifully. Like all of the wisdom that we had and just illuminated and added more aspects to it. And then I kind of literally like just fell in love with it and the precision of it, the fact that it can beautifully kind of label things, so to say, and help you discern between what is conditioning and what is in alignment for you, and also give you guidance on how to ship those things around, right? Instead of just giving you like, this is what it is. And then you're like left confused around how do I ship things around and what do I do and how do I best use this energy that I have.
Right.
Yeah. And so anyways, I got onto this journey and like I have my own business, but also where you met me is the Human Design Academy. Crystal Alfarero's human design certification, and I came into her world and I did a training for her people, and she loved it and she invited me into being a support coach in there, which is what I am right now as well, besides having my own business. And I love it. I really love being in a group of people and just spreading the wisdom around this system, and yeah, opening up so many doors and so many ideas and sharing everything. So it's such a beautiful conversation to be having in the academy like every other week. So yeah, that's a little bit about a lot of it.
Yeah, that was perfect. Yeah, I was going to say it's like since well for me, I like from the beginning, I was very similar. I started ordering books on Amazon. Before I knew it, I had 10 books stacked up. I flew through those. And then it was like, okay, I need more. I want more. But I also want to be in a community. And so that's how
Mm-hmm.
I found the Human Design Academy with Crystal and you. And what I love about you two together is one, how you both explain certain things, whether we're talking about centers or gates or channels or types, having both of you there and hearing both both
Mm-hmm.
versions of the same thing, but how you interpret it. That's the answer, the word I'm
Yeah.
looking for, how you interpret it. So I've seen you in that respect. I'm very curious, how do you work with your clients? So in your own business, what does that look like?
That was such a huge journey of like a lot of pivots, right? And I really started just from that kind of masculine side, so to say, of marketing and business, right? And like these are the strategies. And once you figure out the strategy, everything is going to fall into place, right? And so I was like just constantly trying to find which one is right, right? Like, and falling for the shiny object syndrome and all of that, especially with an open head center. This is our main, issue.
Yes.
Yeah. And as a manifesting generator, with that gate 16, like, very interested in picking up all of the skills, like I really went in all directions and I had the energy to follow them through and to experiment with them. And I did a lot of stuff. And then along the way, I just kind of, started figuring out what is in alignment for me, what isn't, and started, pivoting and doing things like that. Then I found human design, and then I started understanding that as well, and understanding that side of like, how to basically like help myself figure out what is in alignment for me and really double down on that. And it was like such, like hindsight is 2020, right? And it was such,
Yes.
beautiful confirmation when I saw my human design, and I really started understanding how it connects to, how it connects to all of these aspects of business. And I was like, yeah, this is why I had a lot of success, with my Facebook group and doing trainings in there. And I wasn't really feeling these other strategies and things like that. Right.
Right.
And then with it, I got permission to just really start following what feels right for me. Right. And I still keep consulting, my human design in any shift and pivot and realignment. And then I have my gate 49 in my unconscious sun. This is a gate of basically aligning to higher values. And like it's also called, the gift of it is like revolution. The city in
Ooh.
G keys is rebirth. And like it is absolutely one that I compare to goddess Kali. Like she comes in and she's like, anything that is misaligned is gonna leave your life right now. Like
Yes.
ruthless cutting off, right? And it really is like that. And I never like ever since I left architecture and went into this direction of like online business and marketing and sales and all of it, I never could fully accept it. I first of all, I hated sales. I thought sales was the sleaziest thing in the world, and people who did sales are sleazy people, and I never wanted to be associated with them. I also hated content, which is one of my main things right now.
What?
I was like this, but in at that time, in like what was it, 2016 or something, it was like a lot of blogs and things like that, and I'm like, but how is this leading to a sale? You're talking about this thing and like all of that, and it's like just a huge waste of time that you don't know when it's gonna give you a return on investment. And it's like, you're
Right.
just putting in all of the effort with no reward, which my defined heart center is like, hell no. Like what I'm doing, I needed to have, like a return on investment, right? I work so that
Right.
I can rest, I'm so anyways, long story short, with this gate 49, basically I have this obsession towards always making things feel aligned and feel good and feel beautiful and just juicy, right? And I could never settle for these like kind of toxic old school paradigm kind of sales, pushing people into the sales and pressing onto the pain points and like all of that bullshit. No. And so what my journey basically, gave me, sorry for that, what my journey basically took me into was really figuring out like what doesn't feel aligned here and why doesn't it, right?
Mm.
And I started noticing that it was literally just kind of like this doesn't feel aligned because if I do it, this is how I'm leaving the person feeling, right? What is the
Right.
impact of what I'm doing? What is the energetic footprint of my content, right? How is this conversation, the sales conversation, right? How is it flowing, and how am I making the other person feel, and how do I feel, like asking them these questions or saying things in this kind of way, right? And
Right.
because I never settled, with what I was just given, I kept tweaking it until it felt like so beautiful and natural. I always wanted to have everything that I do in my business feel the same as in real life when I'm having a conversation at a dinner party with someone who is obviously struggling with the issues that I help people with, or obviously has a desire, for a transformation that I can provide. And then I'm like, oh my God, a person to talk to, right? Like, let me share this with you and share it from a place of like, honey, listen, I understand that you have this problem, but like, I'm not pressing the pain point and telling you like, yeah, this problem is awful and you definitely need to solve this right now. Come to me, like, and I'm going to consult you around this. Like, no, I love to leave people feeling empowered and activated. And like if I was sharing a problem or something like that, it's like, honey, I get you, and I was there as well, and I fell for the same things, and and it didn't feel good and all of that, but there's another way. Let me illuminate you, right? And then I want to leave you feeling activated, right? And like believing in yourself and in your ability to change this around, which is usually one of the biggest issues, and
Right.
obstacles and objections people have. They don't believe that they can do it. Even with the best solution in the world, they have tried multiple different things and failed with them. And so now they're like, I don't know if I'm going to do it, even with this new solution, right? And so, like, I want to leave people feeling empowered and tell them, yeah, this issue, and yeah, here's the solution, and you can do it. Once we go through the process and we align to your human design, like, absolutely. And once we, cover this inner, mindset shifts and shifts in your energy, your nervous system, right? It's like everything starts to feel more pleasurable, right? And I so went from this whole masculine into a much more balanced, like feminine and masculine approach, where I always start with love. This is the basis of everything for me,
Yeah.
especially with that gate 10. It's like I start with I base my business and everything around 5 relationships. The relationship that you have with yourself. Do you love yourself? Do you own your power, right? Or are you shying away from it? Are you like, oh, but I'm not good enough here, and I'm like shaming myself for this and that? Like, all of this is just kind of dulling your magnetism and keeping you playing small. So let's help you fall in love with yourself. And human design is one of the tools that I use to illuminate for you, like, honey, this is who you are. Allow yourself to be that, right? Like, love that. Don't shame that. Like, yes, it is different, but like, and so, like, falling in love with yourself and that relationship with yourself is one relationship. And then you have the relationship with your business, which is like a vehicle for your vision and your mission to come to life. It is a beautiful machine to help you actually disseminate your message, right? And make the impact that you want to make, and also make the
Right.
income, right? And so the another relationship is a relationship with your ideal clients, right? And I've realized along the way that, the reason why, like, the shift that makes and changes so much around how you communicate is, the first of all, the energy that you're coming from. Are you coming from a place of, I'm anchored into my vision and like so freaking inspired by what I'm doing and like in love with that and believing in myself? And then also, how do you feel about your audience, right? Do you feel that they're like sitting on the other side and like, needing to be persuaded about like all of this and convinced, and they're like, yeah, whatever, kind of like feeling like someone on the other side it needs you to kind of, hook them in and like all of that.
Convince them,
Yes.
persuade them, right?
Or
Talk
do
them
you
into it.
feel like or do you feel like that you're having a conversation with this person who is on fire and eager to hear more about this and like curious and ready to jump in, right? And just making that shift in your mind, right? Which in NLP, this is like the mental model, right? And changing
Right.
these, as we call them, submodalities, right? Changing how you see things. Are they sparkly? Are they vivid? Or are they dull and like, ugh, feeling like, right? Changing those
Right.
things around changes how you show up and changes how you express yourself and who you're kind of talking to. Do you feel like you're talking to disempowered people and needing to pull them into the transformation, which is what a lot of people are doing? Or are you actually talking to empowered people who just need a little bit of encouragement and belief that they absolutely can do it, right? And are you activating them, or are you pressing them into going forward?
Right.
Right, like it's always an energetic and like this kind of mindset, mind image shift, right? And the shift in how you feel in your nervous system, in your body. And then we have, of course, the relationship with also, the universe, source, God, whatever you call it. Do you feel that you
Right.
are supported, right? Or do you feel like you're left to fend for yourself, right? And kind of like bitter because of that and whatnot. And I had, a little bit of a broken relationship with, the universe and God, because it took my father away, right?
Mm.
That's what the kid in me at 10 years old, when I lost my dad, like, really thought, like, oh, all of a sudden, from one day to the next, life lost all of its magic, and I was left to fend for myself, and things like that, even though I had my mom, of course. But, I felt like God took him, and I was like angry, and then our life went into a little bit of like a downward, so to say, spiral, right? and we were left, with like kind of struggling, for money and constantly worrying about money and things like that, and going from like overflow when he was alive to like struggling. And like, I felt like I was abandoned by God and he wasn't helping me at all, and like nothing like that, right? And I had to shift that relationship as well. And the final one is, a relationship that is connected to your business, which is your offers. Like how these little solutions and how you're helping people, actually create the transformation. Because within our business, especially, you as a manifestor, me as a manifesting generator, right? We love, doing different little things,
Oh yeah.
right? Whereas those, like generators, projectors, reflectors, really thrive when they have like a system or something that they have mastered, and they can kind of like, keep building on that, and they don't get bored with that as much as I do as a manifesting generator, or you as
Right.
a manifestor that always has a different urge to follow, right?
Yes.
So like, yeah, and so like with, yeah, what is your connection to those offers? They're like little mini businesses of their own, so to say, right? And do you feel like this is just something that I'm putting out there so that I can get some money, or do you feel like this is a fucking solution to what these women need, what these people need in order to liberate them from the struggle, the problem, the challenge, right? And get them into a place where they are thriving, right? And succeeding and everything else. So the way
Eva,
that
Eva,
to kind of
oh
come
my
back to
God.
it.
This is why I freaking love you. Oh my God. Seriously. I don't know where to begin right now.
Let me just wrap this up
Oh
by
my
saying, like,
God.
by basically answering the question that you asked, like, how do I help clients? It's through a beautiful balance of the feminine and the masculine. And the feminine, I believe, always leads, right? And that
Mhm.
connection to your vision, that, the change in your feelings, in your mindset, in your emotions, right? The change in your being
Yes.
always creates a change in how you do things, right? And even the smallest shifts make massive, massive, ripple effects in what you are putting out there. And this is how I work with my clients, right? We not just, like do the strategies and things like that, which, yeah, I do love, and I do believe that they are very important, right? But the
Mhm.
first thing that always comes is, that connection and that love from which you're coming, and those little tweaks in your mindset, those tweaks in your nervous system, and how calm and centered and beautiful you feel, right? Or you feel rushed, and stressed and under pressure, from which you are just limiting your creativity and dulling your magnetism, right? Which is why that's such an important piece of what I do. Let's shift things around to amplify your magnetism, right? And
Right.
connect to your true message. And then let's use business and social media and content and all of it as vehicles to spread that love and that conviction in what you do, and that certainty, right? Around this is what is absolutely going to help you. If you're this kind of person, my ideal client, I can absolutely help you. Someone else, this is not the solution for you, but for you guys, hell yes.
It's work. Right. My head is spinning right now.
Take your time. Take your time.
So, I want to say this is how the universe works. I fully believe that. I also have had my history with God and the universe, and I would say my my faith has gotten stronger in the past few years, and it's things like human design that have really helped bring me back to that connection. And it's moments like this where it's like, it's like, duh, like, oh my gosh, I asked for this. I manifested this. I literally manifested this conversation. So I'm going to take this opportunity to, like, I want the audience to get out of this as much as possible. But I feel like for me to do my job, I get to be vulnerable in this moment. So
Mm.
where I am in my business right now, I have my social media marketing agency that I've had for almost 10 years now. Love it, but I'm ready to move on. That urge, that surge is
Mm.
coming. Like it's time to create something new. And as much as I love human design and I'm eating it up and I know this is my next vehicle, I have no idea what I'm doing.
Mhm.
And so I feel like literally every single relationship you just mentioned is an area that I get to work on. Like, and I didn't even realize that. Like, you just, the way you explained it and how important each of these relationships is, it all clicked. It made sense. It's like, there's so many ways I can see now where I'm still trying to operate this new venture like I did the last, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're totally different. They have totally different energies and spirits and intentions behind them. And a lot of what I used in my agency, I don't necessarily want to carry over to this
Mm-hmm.
business, right? And I love how you're talking about the relationship with your business and relationship with your offers, because those are two things that have really been challenging in for me in my world. And I don't know what module it was, but in your client magnetism course, you talk about that, and you talk about how, it's like marketing. Marketing for one type is great, but may not be right for another type.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I've never resonated with webinars and discovery
Yeah.
calls and Facebook
Yeah.
ads and writing a ton of SEO. That doesn't
Yes.
feel good to me. I'm like, I'm very, just like you, I'm like, what's the end goal? Like, what, what's the profit on return for it? And so you just, in everything you said, you just landed for me. Like, I get to go back and really reconnect to my intention with all of this, and what is it I want it to look like and feel like. How do
Mm.
I want to show up?
Mm-hmm.
Especially when you were saying with the client, it's like, I want my clients to feel like really good friends that
Mm-hmm.
I haven't sold, but they they have a need, and I'm sharing, I'm giving of them what I have that I know can help them, that I know can activate what I already see inside them.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks to human design, thanks to like being able to pull their chart, and it's right there.
Exactly.
It's all right there, and just reminding them of like, these are the gifts you came into this world with, and I get to be a part of that journey of you rediscovering them and living that to your highest. I absolutely love that. Okay, so I'm curious if, say someone's watching this right now and they're not in a place yet where they can work with you. What are some prep things or some things you might say, start doing, one, two, and three things on your own right now to start creating that shift, to start stepping into that higher frequency?
Yeah, this is what we talked about before we started the conversation. This is the tricky part, right? Well, of course, you can like follow me on Instagram. You can follow me on TikTok. You can follow me also my podcast as well, which I'll be kind of like restarting again after going through a little bit of a pivot and kind of like a void, right? Where I'm like,
Yeah.
something is just like, I don't know, right? Just like you right now, you're
Yes.
navigating a void where like the next step is not clear, but it's clear what you don't want, right? But it's
Yes.
not fully clear what you
100%.
do want. Yeah. So what would I leave people with is something also very connected to what you were sharing, which is, what we do is we look at all of the people that have succeeded, right? And we are aware that success leaves clues, and so we're watching them and what they're doing, and we're like, oh my god, this thing that they're doing is so effective, and I can do that. And then this other thing, and then this other thing, and then this other thing. And
Yeah.
my message to you is that everything works. Every single strategy and tactic and everything, it all works. It doesn't matter if it's toxic or new earth paradigm. Like, it doesn't matter. It all works. It all works. But the thing is that what is going to be most effective for you and really magnetize most people to you, right? And help you really live in alignment is what is in alignment for you and with your, not just with your human design, because it can only illuminate one part of it, right? One side of the
Right.
coin, right?
Right.
The other side is your lived experience and your conditioning and your, true desires and things like that. And so really like going in and honoring what it is that you truly want is monumental. It maybe it sounds cliche or something like that, but like I have realized this along the way. I made a little post about it today as well, where I actually realized along the way how much I was boxing myself in, both with my offers and business model and also with my content. So how I was doing that, was, for example, I went into coaching, and then I basically, like, 90% of my business and offers and everything was kind of like one-on-one coaching, right? Or one-on-one sessions and things like that. And I have a triple split definition, and I am also a line four. I really thrive in groups. And so it was when I actually joined the Human Design Academy, and I show up on these calls with everyone there and asking all these questions and having these beautiful conversations, that I'm like, oh my God, yes, this feels so amazing, right? It feels so light. It feels so aligned for me. So I added that, and I plan to add more of those kind of group experiences, and have an evergreen group program and memberships and things like that. And then I also like, I was, I don't know for what reason, but like, I didn't really focus too much on what also I love, which is, I thought that that was too much. Right. That's the main problem of those of us who have like a lot of defined centers or are manifesting generators. Like, you're too much, you're all over the place or something like that.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So I realized, like, I really love, like, I really love fast. I love, intensives. I love helping people like get it over with, right? And like step into something new as fast as possible, as fast as they can do it, right? Which is why I've implemented, intensives. So I have my sold out strategy intensive, which you can find on my website, www.levelhood.com. And so, yeah, I know that you're going to ask me about that. So let's,
Oh yeah, it's
let's give
coming.
it. Yep. Let's share it now where it's in context. And so the sold out strategy intensive is where I can help people, like change things around and pivot in their business or set up an aligned strategy, right? Whichever point you're coming from, it doesn't matter, right? A pivot is basically like a fresh start, you
Right.
know? And so this is where we would sit down and do, and create your aligned strategy and really follow what feels good for you. And I can't tell you how many times I've worked with clients who were trying to like push themselves in a certain direction. And then after a while, they come back and they're like, listen, yeah, I can't, cling on to this thing anymore, even though it's been working so far, it's not aligned anymore. And I actually just want to do this kind of offer. I just want to do courses. I don't want to do one-on-ones. And I want to make my one-on-ones extremely exclusive with very select handpicked people and things like that. Right. And other people are like, I have no like desire to teach, to speak, to like, I don't have the capacity for it, right? Like reflectors, or maybe someone with, I don't know, an open throat or something like that. Like, it just does not feel aligned. Yet they're
Right.
trying to push themselves into it. And like, no, honey, full permission to just do this. And yes, you can scale your business, and do a lot of stuff, like with like one-on-ones and some variations of that and things like that. Like, there is always a way, and the way, the secret sauce, the code that the millionaires have cracked is the aligned code. It is not one specific
Mm.
thing. It is that they have cracked the code to their aligned cocktail. They have done so many, and that's what they all talk about. Like, that's what we all talk about, like failure, right? You've failed so many times, and in those failures, you've learned. And basically, what you've done is you've constantly aligned and tweaked, aligned and tweaked, aligned and tweaked, right? And in the end, you found your cocktail. What human design helps us do is like, I can immediately see your cocktail. Let's get to it, ASAP, instead of you wasting all of these years of aligning and refining and whatnot. Let's start immediately from what is
Yes.
good for you, and then tweak that along the way on the third level of alignment that I talk about, which is, alignment with how you're doing these things. And, are you doing them with love? What is your mental image as you're going through this, right? Let's tweak those little things that make a big, big impact. So if you want to succeed, yes, all of the strategies work, but the right cocktail of those strategies is, there in within you, within your human design and within your desires and the things that you think, well, maybe that's not going to work, and maybe that's too out there. Like, no, honey, all of that shit was done already. Like, you are not unique. To be honest, you are unique, but at the same time, you're not. It's a paradox, right? Like, everything has been already done and all of it works. So let's just build your own, little business, your vehicle that really fits you. And so that when you actually are doing things, you're like, wow, this feels easy, because it's aligned to your natural talents and skills and ways of expression and all of it. So once you tune into that, build that, you're just unstoppable, because everything feels good. both
Right.
on like the externals and internally, as you keep tweaking those things and honoring more of what you truly desire and tuning everything and aligning everything towards more love, right? And
Mhm.
more of that beautiful life force energy, right? Of like that gets activated within you when you stop trying to, do something in someone else's way that doesn't fully feel right. If it doesn't fully feel right, it's always going to be like, and like you're going to be capped instead of limitless. So that's my advice on, like, if you want to go into human design, God bless, just go follow all of us. Crystal Alfaro on YouTube has amazing videos. I'm doing a lot of practical business stuff on my Instagram and TikTok and everywhere, right? And like, it's just get into it and start learning little by little. But the main work is really allowing yourself to be yourself and to really follow what truly lights you up. And my message to you is that it is always going to work out. You are not too strange to like whatever this is, like, going against the grain and no one has ever done this before. Hardly believe it. Someone has done it.
Somebody has, but not the way you're going to do it.
Exactly. And that means
Yeah.
that you can also do it. Yeah. So go for it.
I love that. I truly felt like when I first came across human design, and many of us say this, it's like I was finally seen. I felt seen for the first time. But I also felt like this permission slip was given
Mm,
to me as well. I mean, I have
exactly.
worked with so many business coaches over the years. And one of the first things I realized when I really like sat down with my chart and had it read and everything was the conditioning business wise that I
Mm-hmm.
had. I literally couldn't even hear my own thoughts. I just had all the thoughts of all the coaches, all the books, all the things
Yes.
that were in my head telling me the things I should be doing. And then
Mm,
feeling like a failure, feeling like the imposter syndrome, feeling incomplete because I wasn't doing these things the way they said I should be doing it. And
yeah.
wondering why. Why can't I be consistent? Why can't I do this the way they did it? It worked for them. Why isn't
Mm-hmm.
it working for me? And it's like when I sat down with my chart and I started seeing the cocktail, it was like, oh, I'm not broken. I'm not not
Mm-hmm.
intelligent. It's like that's just not what's aligned for me. That's just not what's going to work for me.
Exactly.
So I
It's the
love that. It truly, yeah, it's almost like giving yourself this permission slip to truly be you in your business.
Yeah. And that's the scariest part. Like, I have to be very honest. The scariest part is being you, following what you want to do, because, you're always like, the reason why we go for someone else's strategy is totally human, because we want to get the biggest return on our investment or on our efforts and our time. We want whatever it is that we're doing to be good from the get-go. We don't want to waste time and effort, right? And so we're
Right.
like, who did it? And let's walk the beaten path. Why would like I
Exactly.
reinvent the wheel or something like that, right? And which is totally like justifiable. But like what I'm here to do and help people with is like, yes, yeah, let's use the effective paths, right, and ways and strategies and all of that. But there's your cocktail of these things, right? Instead of you
Right.
going in a misaligned direction because you don't know yet that it's misaligned. And if you don't know your human design and if you don't have the experience that you and I have with like marketing and all of that, like you're just gonna go and make a lot of mistakes, but not just that, like encounter a lot of resistance, and then you're gonna shame yourself and blame yourself and say, I'm not good enough, I'm not, disciplined enough, I'm not consistent enough, where it's actually these things that are making you inconsistent and undisciplined because you don't want to do them because they're not aligned,
Exactly.
right? And
Right.
that's the thing that I've just created a little post around how I have realized how much I've been boxing myself in. And so here's another beautiful thing that I want to leave everyone with, which is your biggest task really is to remove all of the bullshit rules and conditions that we put on ourselves. Yes, there are guidelines and there's beautiful stuff, but let me share with you a super simple example. In my content and things, right? Like I am on multiple platforms, right? And so when I wanted to, like, when I would have an idea, I would be like, okay, so like I have this idea, but like, oh, this is too long for 2,000 characters, or too long for the 60, 90 seconds of a reel. Not
Yes.
so I gotta slash this idea, like cut it up a little bit and like do this and do that. And like as soon as I would like go through that thought of like, oh, but it's not, suitable for this or that, that would like kind of box me in, and like it would just literally like just I would go down in my energy and my excitement and everything.
Yes.
And so all of like I was actually like trying to box myself into all of these formats instead of going what I'm doing right now. And it's like today I really feel like sharing something super long. So what is the medium that supports that? It's either a podcast or an email. Do I feel like speaking today, or do I feel like writing today? Cool. That's what I'm going to do today. That's how I'm going to express myself today. I don't
I
give
love
a
that.
damn if I'm going to do a podcast every Wednesday. It's going to come out on Monday and Tuesday, and then it's not going to come out for 2 weeks. And then it's going to come out again, like when I feel called to it, like I'm unboxing
Yes.
myself. I'm
Yes.
using all of these tools as vehicles for my expression, and I'm connecting all of them, right? I can make a little post, a little reel, and then say I'm going deeper into all of this in my podcast episode and things like that. And like I
I
also
love that.
used to, have these ideas, and I would like put them in this, in of course in the notes and things like that. Right now, what I'm and then I realize like I'm constantly doing this, but I never come back to it. Especially as a manifesting generator and a manifester, we just want to keep moving forward, right? And
Yes,
in
exactly.
general, in life, like life is full of so much that there's always more coming in through your mind, right? The only thing that is blocking you from actually being a prolific content creator is the rules and conditions, right? It's like, oh, I want to talk about this, but it's got to be in this way and that way and like whatever it is, right? And like, yeah, stupid. Like, no, what if I just have this idea? I'm on the go on my way to the gym. Cool, I had the idea. I'm going to open my phone and immediately create a little video, right? And boom, I'm going to post it, right? I'm going to post it on TikTok. On TikTok, you can post 20,000 times a day. No one gives a damn, right? Like it's even
That's
better
true.
for you, right? So just letting it flow, like literally unleashing things, right? Like removing the rules and conditions and actually having them serve you. Like all of these vehicles are there for me,
Mm.
right? Not I'm not there for them, right? But it
That's
took.
a really important statement. I mean, sorry to interrupt you, but that I want to
Mhm.
land on that too. That's really important because I work with a lot of businesses in my marketing side, and they feel so constricted that they have to do, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, YouTube. We have to. We're a business. We're supposed to, and it's like, but you don't. It's
No.
about knowing where your audience is and knowing, like what you're saying, what do you want to create, and where can that best be expressed?
Mm-hmm.
Right? But these are tools that are here to help us, not the other way around.
Yeah. And the thing when you're not an expert like us, right? But like having all of these, like what we do is we see the whole industry, we see and we're observing what everyone else is doing, and we're learning through that because that's our passion. But that's not
Mm-hmm.
your passion, right? And so you don't know all of these avenues that we know about. So you
Right.
think, for example, right? Like a lot of people think like, oh, like I need to be posting on Instagram or TikTok, and that's the only way to succeed. And if I'm constantly creating content, constantly
Mm-hmm.
producing, and yet I see people who have, multiple six, seven, figure businesses without posting all of the time. So what are they doing? And then I
Exactly.
go and I figure out what they're doing. What they're doing is they're leveraging other platforms like God bless Pinterest, to actually create one piece of content and then repurpose it and repost it 20, 50 other times on Pinterest and keep getting traffic to it.
That's genius.
Smart work, right?
Yes. Yes.
Or like creating one big training, one big live, and then giving it to your VA and like cutting it up and making little different pieces of content out of it. Or
Right.
also using, transcribing that and putting that into a post, a carousel or whatnot. Like there are so many ways for you to, like do 1 hour of this kind of like marketing work or whatever it is, and then like really spread it far and wide and into many different content pieces, right? Especially because like when we're sharing something, we need to be talking about it over and over and over again, right? So like from
Exactly.
content, you've got another 3 pieces of content, and then you share them in the following, 3 months, right? Or whatever it is. So like there's so many different ways and you might not see them because you're not in this like us, right? But you don't have to be boxed in, by all of this. There is a way for you to actually grow and succeed and, really like make an impact, but and also an income, right? Through doing what really feels aligned for you. And
And
if you're
that's the
not
key,
consistent,
aligned.
yeah, and if you're not someone who is consistent, God bless, 70% of the population has an open or undefined heart center, struggling with consistency, paired with an open or undefined root center, right? That doesn't have that pressure to do all of the time. You can
Right.
you can label yourself as lazy, as a procrastinator, undisciplined, inconsistent and things like that. Well, let's see how we can actually leverage that. You do have energy to create things when there is a buildup of that energy. So when you do have it, boom, let's find a way to do something with it that you're going to benefit from in the following weeks, not just that one day and it's one and done, right?
That's
Let's
smart.
make that one video and repurpose it into 20 different pieces. God bless, right? So you do the work
Right.
in 1 hour and you have it for the full month.
I love that. This could be a whole segment by itself. I think we should actually talk about that later, like doing a whole like marketing, marketing human design segment.
Indeed.
All right,
Indeed.
so I want to stop there because I want to make sure we talk about gene keys because I know
Mm.
that's another area that you're really passionate about. And
Mm-hmm.
I know we're running short on time, so I've just been curious. How have you integrated gene keys with human design into your coaching, your work?
Well, the reason why I love Gene Keys and the reason why I love Richard Rudd, who wrote the book, channeled, basically the definitions of the gates and like all of that. It's like it's very connected to the human design gates. And but it also goes into some more layers and nuances. And it's very the way that Richard explains things, the way that he shares, like, okay, this energy, let's say this gate 23, my sun gate, it's like it's in the shadow, it's complexity. The gift is simplicity. But then Richard talks about like why complexity, right? And how our ego tries to control things. And from this attempt to control as many things, we complicate things. We implement this and implement that and like just make it so complicated, right? And I recognize that with myself. And then I read about the simplicity and like, oh, I drop into that visual. It's like literally giving me a little visualization, manifestation to drop into. And
Right.
like, oh, this is how it can feel. And then, okay. And then I literally go and observe myself. Like, why am I making this complicated? Why do I not trust simplicity? That's also another big thing that a lot of people struggle with, which is trusting simplicity and trusting ease.
Yes.
We're so used to things being so hard because
The
we have been
struggle.
doing, yeah, the
Yeah.
struggle, because we have been doing so many misaligned things that did bring about struggle that we needed to push through, right? And also there's this whole like, I'm not deserving, if I don't put enough effort, it's not, I'm not worthy of receiving the reward for it, right? This employee mentality.
Oh yeah.
To kind of come back to the question, like, when I got my hands on the Gene Keys, book and started reading about all of it, I was like, wow, this expands so much on the explanations of the gates that we have in human design and adds another layer to it. And I was like, okay, I need this. And so what I did, like when I was learning human design and Gene Keys, is like I went and read everyone's description, like any description of a gate or gene key that I would find, I would go and read, because the thing is that once you are start observing these energies within you, you start to realize that, there needs to be a whole book around just one gate or key. It's like
Yeah.
so deep when you finish with one layer that you were reading about in the book and like, oh, okay, I get it, I understand it, a new layer gets unlocked. And then after that, a new layer that like very few people talk about, right? And so like that, I always just wanted to understand things from as many angles as possible, right? So that I can better then utilize all of this and serve my clients with it, right? And like, for you, where you are right now, the level that you are at, you're going to see this layer of this energy, of this gate, of this state of being, basically, right?
Right.
So yeah, so I love to, basically give my clients, there's exercises that I give them to basically talk about themselves and also share content. And so I give them, like, hey, go and for the next, 2 days, just read about your sun gate, right? And read about it in human design and read about it in Gene Keys, contemplate it a little bit. And then just from that energy, right, talk about, connect that to how your audience is feeling, connect that to, a little bit about you, where you can share like, oh, I have this, 214 channel, right? It's the way shower, right? And what I've done in my life is, I have collected all of this wisdom and these resources and these things like that. And with that, I'm like so amazing in guiding you in what is your aligned path, right? And I'm this way shower. And so all of this gives you basically a language, so you're never staring at a blank screen. It gives you kind of language to understand who you are and then communicate that, right? Which is a
Yes.
big struggle for a lot of us, communicating who we are and the magic that happens in our vortex, so to say, in our presence, in our containers, right? Like, yeah, I know that I'm amazing at what I do and that miracles happen in my presence, but like, how do I say that? you know and then I'm
Right.
like, just go and read about your 360 channel, and then tell me if you can or cannot explain the magic that happens in your coaching containers. And so like it just helps so much. That's just one, layer of using that energy, right? Another is using those tools.
Hmm.
Another, of course, layer that happens alongside it is that you kind of fall in love with yourself, right? And you're sitting with
Yeah.
yourself and contemplating all of this and realizing things. And then you're also communicating. So it's like, it's so multifaceted. And of course, the big stuff there is moving from the shadow to the gift, right? And that gate 14 is like also the alchemist, it turns lead into gold. And I love that.
Oh,
I love that. And like with that gate 49 that I have, that is like ruthless, is slashing off anything that is misaligned, right? And like
the
aligning
collie.
it to higher values. Yeah. And aligning you to those higher values and all of it. Like, you can't lie to me. Like, no client can lie to me again. Like when I was working without human design, like, clients would say like, yeah, this feels aligned, this feels amazing. And then we start doing things and it's like, no, it's not. Right. But they thought it was, because they were making decisions from their not self, from the conditioning,
Right.
from ego and yada yada. Right. But
Right.
now, like, you can't lie to me around why you are struggling with this. I can see that you're stuck in the shadow of your sun gate, for example,
Mm.
right? I see this playing out. Just because my awareness was brought to it, I can now literally see how it's playing out for you. And with that, I can guide you to actually alchemize this, to transform it from the shadow to the gift. And then I help
Mm.
you actually transform it with the help of, tools like EFT, NLP, whatever is needed. Like, I work with other people who, are hypnotherapists and things like that, whatever you need in the moment to help you actually shift this, right? But
Wow.
there's a lot of that internal work, right? So it helps you alchemize and step more into the gift. And we all kind of fluctuate between the gift and the shadow, right? We do, sometimes we are in the shadow, and the shadow is just when you are a little bit more overcome with fear, then the shadow is what plays out that energy. And then in the gift, it's like when you're feeling great and abundant and in overflow, the gift is there. So the whole goal is to get as much anchored into the gift as you can, and then finally, after working on yourself for months, years, whatever, you really stay anchored in that place, right? But it takes literally staying anchored in the energy of love and abundance versus fear and scarcity and lack and all of that, which is a hard thing for us humans to do, right? Which is
That
why
is
this is an
true.
ongoing journey, right? But this is literally your roadmap for internal work to be done. Like, the biggest internal work that you need to do is like literally laid out in front of you. And of course, there's, like I said in the beginning, there's the other side of the coin, right? Your lived experiences. And okay, I carry trauma from my father passing away. Like, no human design and Jinkies can tell me that, right?
Right.
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 but there's other things that are there, right? And I can work on them. And the other beautiful part of it is like, when you step onto this journey and you're like, I want to unlock my full potential and I want to be my best self, right? And in the manifestation process, it's like I need to embody this next level version of me. So literally human design and gene keys are your like map, so to say. It's literally giving you this character, so to say, right? That you can embody, like, oh, I need to embody simplicity here and this over there. And so when I step into that, everything else is going to get unlocked, right? So this is my literal, who I can be. This is my highest potential, my highest self. And so
Right.
when I calibrate to that and anchor into that, I quantum jump, I step into that next level, and then I manifest all of the beautiful prosperity and abundance and wealth, right? Wealth on all levels, internal and external, right? So you got the map, you got the cheat sheet, you got you don't need to crack any code. The code is there.
It's
Just you,
already in you.
yeah, you just got to read that stuff and then
Yes.
do the work that's needed to alchemize things, to transform things, right?
And I love that. That was beautiful.
I
Oh my
wish
gosh.
someone was around to tell me that, and like really
Yeah.
shortcut my journey through all of this. But now I'm just that much more wiser through all of the mistakes and misalignments, right?
Well, it's true. And I think about that a lot too. It's like, man, I wish I've, learned about this in my 30s, my 20s, my late
Mhm.
teens. But it's like, but still, all of those things that I experienced, all those things I had to go through have brought me here. And that's so much more wisdom, so much more golden nuggets I get to now share with someone and help them on their journey.
Exactly.
So it's
Exactly.
it's always a blessing.
It
Always
is,
find the blessing in everything.
of
The
course.
blessing or the lesson. So
Exactly, exactly. Because what is the alternative? Like just staying stuck in victimhood, so to say. I've tried that.
exactly.
I tried that. Tried being, like, oh, I'm a victim and hoping that someone's gonna, come and save me and save the day or whatnot. And then you realize like it ain't happening.
No.
No,
We are here to save ourselves. And human
exactly.
design will help. Oh my gosh.
Absolutely.
Eva, thank you so much. This was amazing. I
My
like I said, I
pleasure.
always go into all of these with not really an agenda. It just really wanting to talk, have a conversation and see what comes out, what is meant to be shared. And I know I have a ton of notes here and things I'm going to reflect on this weekend. So thank you. Thank you
My
for that.
pleasure. My
Oh.
pleasure. Thank
Okay,
you
so I know
guys for
you
listening.
mentioned, of course, I know you mentioned Instagram, TikTok. What are your handles? All of this will be in the show notes, you guys. So don't feel pressured to write them all down right now. But I do want to make sure we hear from you, your handles, and
I might
how
be
can we stay in
changing
touch?
something. Yeah, I might be changing
Really?
around there. Yeah, so let's actually guide people to the show notes.
All right, people.
But just go into the show notes, and then you can
Not a
find my
problem.
links to my Instagram, my TikTok, and all of that good stuff. And
Awesome.
yeah, follow me over there because I do share a lot of practical advice and around how to apply human design, and really like shift things in your business to make them feel juicy.
And who doesn't want more juiciness? I do.
Exactly. Exactly.
Well, thank you so much, my dear. I really hope to have you back on the show again soon. I know we're going to have lots more stuff to talk about and
Mm-hmm.
shared experiences coming up soon, which I'm not going to
Mm-hmm.
reveal just yet, but stay tuned.
Mm-hmm.
So, any last
Thank
words? Any last your
I
complete?
think we shared some good insights over there. Thank you for having me and having this like really beautiful flowing conversation. So yeah,
You're
thank you. And
welcome,
thank you
my
guys
dear.
for listening. And I do really hope that you jump into human design and get your own personal cheat sheet, crack your own personal code, stop looking outside. Like this is it. Leverage it. The
Yes.
precision of it. This is what I'm going to leave you with actually. I was downplaying the power of all of this, right? It's like, yeah, it's an awareness tool. It's cool. I can use it, all of that. But like, it's as if I didn't allow it to be as big and as it is And the right now, after 3 years of in this experiment, I can just tell you the precision just keeps getting more precise. It's like it's just incredible how precise this tool is. You just don't ignore it at all. Like I am someone who used to be a huge skeptic, always like, no, there's an explanation for that. Like very scientific, masculine mind, logical mind, like, no, there's an explanation to everything, right? Like I did not believe, and now I'm like, that this is just incredible. Just the precision of this tool is just incredible. And every time that I find myself frustrated or capped in my potential and whatnot, I'm like, let me go back to my design. Oh yeah, that's where I'm misaligned. That's what I was ignoring because I was scared that that's not going to work, this other thing is going to work. Like no, I got slapped in the face by frustration, resistance, and all of it. And I came back to it and I shifted things around. I aligned things, and then everything started feeling better. So just yeah, skip the doubting part. Just go immediately into it. Trust the tool. And if you
Yeah.
don't see how you can use it, come to us. We're gonna illuminate so much in the depth and the layers of it that you just really can't find, in the books and the videos. That yeah, it's just a part of both lived experience and our experience in this
Container.
field, right? Just
Absolutely.
listening to other is just listening to others, who are talking about the same gate, for example, but talking about it in a different way. It's just like, oh, okay,
Exactly.
this I never heard anyone talk about this. Like you're illuminating a new layer of this because this is your thing. This is your gate. You're embodied in this, right? And you can see deeper layers that just weren't talked about in the books, right? So trust this tool. Get after it. Stop. Don't waste time. There's no need.
You heard it here, folks.
That's it. That's where we're leaving you. That's where we're leaving you.
Thank you so much, Minder. I love you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for tuning in. Stay tuned for more. Follow me on Instagram for updates and make sure you are getting my newsletter for all the juicy bits, the notes, the golden nuggets, all of that after the show information. And till we meet again, have a great day.